You think twice before you speak, trying to say something just right. But you don't want to come off as too eager, or too quiet, or too much. You've also read a lot of books and also listened to a lot of podcasts, and they all tell you to just be yourself. But when you are yourself, it somehow feels like people don't see you. And you often get overlooked in groups. You're often the one who gets interrupted, talked over, or mistakenly called a shy. When really, you have so much depth, softness, and power that is just waiting to be seen. And here is what stings the most. You see other women simply just existing, and people naturally just gravitate towards them. They don't try hard, they don't chase for attention. Attention just seems to come to them. And not only that, even when they don't speak, their presence is known. Their presence holds so much power, and you can't help but wonder, what is it that they have that I don't? They don't chase attention, but it follows them anyway. It is not about being the loudest, or the most polished, or the most eloquent, or the most beautiful. The feminine charm is something that is much deeper. So here is the truth. Charisma isn't just for the ones who are naturally confident. It's not some mysterious it factor that you're either born with or not. It's a skill. It's like learning how to play handball, learning how to salsa, learning how to read, learning how to write. And these are all skill-based knowledge that you can apply in your own life as well. So in this video, I am going to be breaking down all of the practical tools that completely transform the way that you carry your feminine energy and the way that you carry your own presence, so that you can connect and deepen your relationships with others, and you can also command presence without overthinking, without forcing it, and without losing yourself in the process. So if you're ready to unlock the version of you that people want to be around, then just keep watching. And here are all the video chapters, and you can also find these video chapters down below in the description with all the timestamps as well. So the first thing, before we dive into the tools, is understanding what feminine charisma even is. Feminine charisma is a delicate balance between two key factors. The first is warmth, and the second is competence. Let's talk about warmth. When we instinctively assess someone's warmth, we often ask, can we trust them? Think of this as signaling to the world that you are trustworthy, that you are someone that people can trust. And when people trust you, they naturally feel more comfortable and they want to open up around you. And the second thing is competence. Now, answering the question, can I rely on you? And competence comes in when you have a confident posture, when you speak with more assertiveness, and when you make purposeful gestures, which we'll be going through all of that later in this video. The key thing to note is that you're not using feminine charm to be ingenuous, or you're not using it to manipulate others, but simply you just want to become someone worth knowing. And you do this so you can open more doors for yourself. You want the world to know who you are on a deeper level. It's about using your natural strengths to build genuine connections and have a positive influence on others. That's it. And it's also about making people feel safe around your energy and feel like when they're having a conversation with you, that they're in good hands. So let's take a look at the charisma scale. On one axis, you have warmth, and another axis, you have competence. Highly charismatic people often land in the charisma zone, where you are high in competence and high in warmth. But also at the same time, we want to make sure that we're not in the danger zone. So what exactly is the danger zone? Let me tell you about Maya. Maya lands a huge role at a big consulting firm. Brilliant gal, top of her class, she's really smart, really capable, but in team meetings, she barely spoke. And whenever she does, she never makes eye contact, and she's always fiddling with her pen. Her body language is often very closed off. And people don't really feel anything when they're around her. No warmth, no confidence, just simply neutral energy. Over time, clients forgot her name. And while her ideas are freaking amazing, her seniors tend to overlook her ideas. They don't really want to listen to her. They're not really interested in what she has to say, even though her ideas are so good. Her boss tends to skip over her ideas at these meetings, even when her ideas are brilliant. And what is the most painful about this story is that it's not because she's incompetent. She's really smart and she's really good at what she does. And she's not exactly being cold either. But because during all of her interactions, she is not signaling warmth or competence. So people just simply dismissed her. This is what I call the danger zone. It's not that you're threatening, but people just aren't interested in getting to know you. People just don't want to hear what you have to say because you're not really signaling any sort of interest. You're not seen as threatening, but you're not seen as valuable either. And it's such a painful experience for Maya because she has so much potential and she's so smart and she's so good at what she does. And this happens so often among women. The last thing you should do to get out of this danger zone is to be loud or fake. This is not the point of feminine charisma. It's about giving people something to grab onto. A little eye contact, a grounded voice. So why should you even care? Why do you even need to be charismatic? I mean, if you're pretty, then who cares what you have to say or not? Or if you're naturally smart and you're really good at what you do, I mean, isn't that all it takes? Because being charismatic affects all areas of your life. When you project warmth and competence, you build stronger and more meaningful relationships. And whether these are romantic or platonic, people are naturally more drawn to people that they trust and they respect. Another thing is that when you have ideas, your ideas land with so much more impact. You can have the best content in the world, but if your content is not delivered with charisma, it doesn't land. No one ends up watching your videos. No one wants to listen to what you have to say. And lastly, you end up feeling more comfortable and confident in your interactions. And when you do that, you naturally become your best self. When you know how you're being perceived, you naturally become so much more self-assured during any sort of conversation. Now let's talk about the unique flavor of charisma. What makes charisma work is how unique you are. Charisma is not one size fits all. Everyone, and I mean everyone, has their own unique strengths that enables them to have a more unique energy when it comes to charisma. Everyone has their own unique flavor depending on their personality and their strengths. Consider someone like Oprah Winfrey. She's incredibly warm, she is such a deep person, and she makes her audience feel incredibly understood. Yet she also conveys competence. She's able to ask very in-depth, competent questions, as well as being able to engage in deeper conversation that's both engaging and interesting. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have someone like Gordon Ramsay. While he is sometimes quite intense when he's cooking, he also has moments where he is quite warm, he's caring, he's nurturing. The key takeaway is that you are not here to be a carbon copy of someone else. Even though sometimes we may have role models, we may have people in our lives or people that we watch on TV that we highly admire, and we like to use them as inspiration. But really, the whole point here is that you have your own unique flavor. Charisma is not something that you copy, it's something that you already have deep within you. Now let's dive into the practical tools. So the first part here is let's master nonverbal cues and body language. Did you know that nonverbal cues account for between 65 to 85% of our total communication? So even if you are an introvert, even if you're someone who naturally doesn't have a lot to say, you can still carry feminine charm. You can still be charismatic because body language is literally what makes most of communication. And by mastering your body language, it can dramatically impact your confidence and also your approachability. So let's talk about how we can project confidence in our body language. The first thing is your posture. So stand tall with your shoulders relaxed and slightly back. Imagine that there is a bit more space between your shoulders and your earlobe. Your feet should be planted firmly, and having a grounded stance makes you seem more grounded and secure, which in turn makes you more confident. Even the way that you hold your hands matter. Avoid gripping things too tightly and just relax them and keep them down. Keep your arms relaxed and make a little space between your arms and your torso. Remember this, the more powerful that you feel, the more space you tend to take up, and therefore, the more powerful you look. Next is open body language. So don't cross your arms. Make sure that when you're speaking to somebody that you are not adding a barricade between your body and the person that you're speaking to. This also means that when you're holding onto a book or when you're holding onto a laptop, that is also a part of blocking the experience. When you remove these barriers, it's a signal that you're willing to engage and you want to engage in this conversation. Humans don't like to have barriers in between them when they're trying to connect. The next part is purposeful gestures. So these are deliberate hand gestures that actually bring more life to your words and allows you to create more impact with the things that you're saying. Powerful communicators tend to intuitively know how to use their hands when they're speaking. You can use your hands to specify a number, or you can specify a size, or even the direction of the conversation. However, you also don't want to overdo it. If you keep shaking your legs, or if you keep fidgeting your pen when you're talking to somebody, you seem distracted. And people tend to feel very distracted when you're doing too much, right? So avoid fidgeting when you're speaking to someone. Make sure that your gestures are actually intentional to what you're saying. I like to keep my gestures usually below my shoulder and above my waist. So you don't want to go too far like this, just keep it within this space. Now, let's talk about signaling approachability. How can we use our body to signal that we're warm, we're approachable people? One thing we can do is we can do head tilts. When you carry a simple head tilt, it shows that you want to engage, that you're listening to them. It shows interest and curiosity. And what happens is that when you tilt your head, it translates non-verbally that you're ready to engage, that you're excited to hear what they have to say. Another thing is nodding. Now, this is also another way to really show that you're interested in what the other person has to say. You can try a slow triple nod, but again, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to go through the whole bobblehead. A bobblehead can seem very insincere and kind of distracting too. Next is a genuine smile. It's not about just smiling with your lips, but it's also smiling with your eyes as well. So make sure it's a genuine smile, not a fake smile. Make an effort to smile when you feel like there's an authentic connection being built. A method to increase your likability through your body language is through mirroring. This is when you subtly observe the other person's body language and you mirror the same thing. So what I tend to like to do is when I see someone leaning in, I tend to lean in as well. When they draw back, I also draw back as well. But also when you see someone laughing and smiling, I tend to return that smile. I tend to return that laugh too. It's really subtle, and again, you don't want to overdo it, but it actually enhances the connection way deeper. And it's something that's so odd, but mirroring genuinely, like from experience, I know that it helps so much. So this can be body language, facial cues, vocal tones. All of these can be mirrored as well. The best mirroring is subtle, so just keep it at that. Now, finally, eye contact. So while there are cultural norms about eye contact, in Western culture, eye contact is very important. It's a vital aspect to both competence and warmth. So instead of just looking at the person, search their face for clues around what they're feeling and what they're thinking. And when you're not just simply looking at their eyes, you're more engaged with how they're feeling. And if you're still overthinking it, just go with brief eye locks. So look at them for 2 to 3 seconds and you can look away, and then look at them for 2 to 3 seconds again. When you make genuine eye contact with somebody in a conversation, it produces oxytocin. It's a bonding hormone and actually helps you enhance the connection even more. And again, you don't want to overdo it. Do not stare someone down. Use your own judgment, use your own intuition to help you engage and become more in flow in the conversation. And eye contact is also incredibly powerful for that. Another very crucial element to charisma is your voice. How you sound is just as important as what you actually say. So let's start with examining how you can make your presence more powerful. The very first thing is a lower tone. When you speak with a lower tone, you speak with more assertiveness, you speak with more competence, and you just sound so much more self-assured. Now, this isn't to speak in a low voice like this, but this is about speaking in the lowest but most comfortable tone in your natural range. It can make you sound so much more confident. And again, when you're confident, you are able to take up more space and you end up feeling more powerful. And having a straight posture can truly help with your breath so that when you speak with assertiveness, it is a lot easier and a lot more natural. The next part is speak on the out breath. When we speak, especially when we're nervous, we tend to hold our breath and then speak from up here. But if we allow ourselves to speak and breathe out at the same time, we are so much more relaxed and what we're delivering can feel so much more confident and it sounds more self-assured. So speak as you release the breath. Avoid speaking at the top of your inhale, but start using this as a method and start practicing speaking while breathing out. It also supports that lower vocal pitch that I talked about earlier, and it prevents frying your voice. Now, the next part is to avoid question inflection. Now, what do I mean by that? When you ask a question, you tend to ask a question like this, right? When you end every sentence like this, with this kind of vocal range, you don't sound very sure of yourself. You don't sound very confident. And when you speak all the time like this, especially when you're at work, people don't really have that much confidence in your capabilities. No matter how smart you are, no matter how capable you are, when you end all of your questions like this, it signals anxiety and it ends up undermining your competence. So instead, start speaking up, and when you are ending a sentence with a period, end down. Not like a question, but end downwards. And sometimes slowing down when you're speaking helps. You don't always have to speak super fast all the time, but what if slowing down your words can give you more oomph in every word, in every sentence, and it gives and leads with more impact? And the last part is purposeful pauses. Instead of using verbal fillers like or like, or even when you're speaking really fast and you're not allowing yourself to breathe and you're not allowing yourself to think, you're just go, 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 go. When you speak like that, it's not very pleasant for the other person to hear as well. And it's that when we give purposeful pauses in our sentences, it allows people to really digest what you have to say. Breathing pauses helps you take a breath, slow down, speak with more assertiveness, and helps you maintain a lower pitch. Power pauses also give people the opportunity to truly digest what you've been saying, and it gives people a sense that they're ready for more, and you become someone that's a lot easier to talk to. Now let's talk about how to use our voice to emphasize warmth and connection. The first thing you need to do is using charismatic hellos. Your first impression matters when it comes to feminine charisma. And it all happens with the very first thing you say, hello, hi. People determine how confident and charismatic you are literally in the first 200 milliseconds of hearing you speak. You can start practicing in your own room and how you can make a memorable first impression, how you can use your voice to enhance the best hello, how you can really get to know somebody on a deeper level. You can practice making a warm first impression by smiling, using an out breath when you're speaking, and just ensuring that you're in a positive or very confident mood. Next part is vocal variety. Using changes in your pitch, tone, can help you add more interest and add more flavor in the things that you have to say. It makes you sound more interesting, and it also conveys emotion. Having a range in your vocal tone can also enhance your delivery as well, and it makes you more memorable as a person. The next is vocal invitations. Now, I love this because sometimes I may not always have an interesting story or an interesting comment to talk about. And when that happens, I tend to love to dig into someone's story. So I would say, that's so interesting. Tell me more about that. And people love talking about themselves, so it's usually a really big hack when I have nothing to say. And when you show interest, when you show this passion for someone else's story, or just this passion of getting to know somebody, that adds an invitation. Even words like, ah, yeah, even simple words like that adds a bit of dimension to the conversation. Now that you've heard all of the tools, we're going to be talking about practical application and how to step towards a journey of mastery, how you can master your own feminine charisma. The first thing that I highly recommend that you do is to film yourself speak. And I actually think that everyone should start a YouTube channel. But for me, starting a YouTube channel has been so transformative because I've learned how to communicate better. I've learned how to be more clear. I've learned how to really speak in a more digestible way rather than rambling. And I used to be such a huge stutterer and such a huge rambler. Yes, when you film yourself, it's going to be a little awkward, but at least you are going to have more awareness around your tendencies when you're communicating. So use this opportunity to make a YouTube channel and watch yourself speak. Try recording yourself in a meeting, in a video, and don't overthink it. It's going to be a little cringe watching yourself, but use this as a way to grow. And when you are aware, you will start to proactively implement more warmth or implement more competence based on what you feel like you're missing. The next thing you need to know is that small steps is so much more powerful than massive, huge steps. Mastery does not happen overnight. And we tend to put ourselves in situations where we'll throw ourselves in the deep end and hopefully we'll learn how to swim, right? But when we do that, we scare ourselves and we think communication is so scary, when we think social settings are so scary, that we don't end up improving because we are starting from level 5,000. But start at level 1. Slowly build up your toolkit and start practicing all the tools that I shared in this video. Start implementing 1, 2, 3 things. And as you become more comfortable with the first few tools, you start adding them up and you start implementing your own personality and charisma into each conversation. You can also practice these cues in different contexts, such as talking to your friend or talking to your boss or even going to a networking event. The more that you practice in many different scenarios, the more naturally these charismatic cues will just come to you. The golden rule here is authenticity. All of these tools that I shared with you today are not meant to cover who you truly are. It's not meant to change you, but it's about enhancing the truth of you. These cues that I shared with you, they should all feel authentic to your power, and it should help enhance your power. So don't try to force any cues that don't feel natural to you. Remember, there are so many different flavors when it comes to charisma, and it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to take one person's carbon copy version of what their charisma means, but it's about building your own unique style. So we have reached the end of this video. I know it is getting pretty dark behind me. The sun is setting, but I had so much fun filming this video, and I truly believe that charisma is really about this genuine wanting to connect. And it's just that simple. Charisma and feminine energy and really emitting warmth and competence in every single conversation is literally the key to helping you access that connection, that opportunity to really dive deep with others. And really in this day and age, it's pretty rare to find someone who's truly charismatic, someone who's truly comfortable in their own skin. And I invite you to start building up your skill set, start building up your confidence so you can be her. When you have natural charisma, when you know how to speak to others, when you have this sense of confidence that you're valuable, you end up being such an attractive force to others. If you don't learn anything from this video, just remember this. The whole point isn't to try to be liked. It's about being understood. It's about recognizing when to lead with warmth, when to speak with competence, but also really learning that your warmth and your competence is what truly makes you powerful. It gives you that very strong presence, that you have something that people want to hear. If you like this video, I highly recommend watching my other video where I talk about how to build genuine friendships. And if you love all things self-development and being the best version of yourself, I highly recommend you subscribe to my channel. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Bye!